If you want to crop a photo in Photoshop, just select the crop tool in the toolbar and then click and drag around an area to crop. Pressing enter on the keyboard or double clicking anywhere inside the new crop will crop it. So if you're a photographer looking to improve composition in a photo or remove some distracting content, this can be helpful. If you're a web designer and you want to crop a few photos to a specific preset size, we can enter the size up here, say 500 pixels by 400 pixels. And then it will constrain to those proportions and resize once we crop. Resizing is a little bit more complicated because of issues of resolution and resampling. Click on Image and then Image Size. This brings up some resizing options, including changing the width and height and resolution. We can fit the resizing to specific preset parameters here, but the default is original size. Notice here the chain link is selected. That just means the proportion is constrained to the original, so if I change the width, it will change the height to the same degree. The height automatically changes when I adjust the width. If I click the chain link icon so that the proportions are not constrained, and I change the width to 100 pixels, it just ends up distorting the photo horizontally. So that's why we keep that checked by default. In this example, the width is 3072 pixels and the height is 2048 pixels. The resolution is 180 pixels per inch, or PPI. Don't confuse PPI with DPI, which is dots per inch. That is a different measurement in the context of printing. Pixels per inch indicates just that, how many pixels are in an inch of the image. So if there are more pixels in an inch, there's going to be more detail and less likelihood of pixelation occurring if the width and the height are the same. I'll illustrate some of these concepts with a few quick examples. Change the resolution to 10 ppi. Notice it changes the overall number of pixels in the width and height as well. Then go to View, then Print Size, and you'll see that 10 pixels equals an inch. Obviously, this could not be printed at a large size without pixelating. Changing the resolution to 20 ppi changed the width to 341 automatically. However, if we change the width to 341 ourselves and leave the PPI at 180, the print size will be a bit different. Notice that this is much smaller on the screen, but it does equal 180 pixels per inch. This would also print out very small. If your printer has a specific size of photo paper they're printing on, we can also use inches here for width and height to match the printer's specifications. A lot of printers want the PPI to be as high as possible, such as 300 PPI, but many will print even at lower PPI that is normally meant for web graphics, such as 72, 96, 120, 150, 180 PPI. It really depends on how large the print will be and how close people are going to be to the printed product. For example, a poster will need to be crisper up close than a billboard would need to be, since no one would be close to a billboard. Of course, larger printed areas will need larger image files. For example, if I set the width of this to 5 feet or 60 inches, the potential file we'd have at 180 ppi would be over 222 megabytes. Notice that throughout all these resizes, resample has been checked. Photoshop resamples the image whether we're downsizing the image, in other words making it smaller, or upsizing the image, in other words making it larger. There are some presets here, with some working better for image reduction and some working better for image enlargement, or we can keep it automatic. While Photoshop is very good at resizing and resampling a photo to make it smaller, making a photo larger than the original size of the file can result in pixelation and image quality reduction. If I uncheck resample, the width, height, and resolution have to be tied in together. I can't change the height and width without changing the resolution automatically, and vice versa. Notice also that the file size doesn't change when we adjust the resolution, width, or height. That's because the file dimensions don't change either. If I change the PPI to only 10 pixels per inch, Photoshop merely makes the total inches for the width well above over 300 inches, a very large printed area. But this would be the same file size as if we changed the resolution to 300 PPI and ended up with a width of about 10 inches. Resolution can be a little confusing, but hopefully this has helped clear up some of the primary concepts of PPI and how it relates to width and height of an image, depending on if we're resampling an image as we resize it. Next, we'll briefly go over using Bridge with Photoshop before completing the first section of this course.